I don't know about you, but this weekend had that strange kind of vibe NASCAR sometimes gives off. Like there's more happening beneath the surface than what we're actually seeing. On paper, it looked like a typical race weekend. A bit of chaos, a few mistakes, classic Bristol madness. Nothing unusual at first glance. But once you start looking closer, it doesn't feel that simple anymore. There are two big storylines coming out of this race, and honestly, they hit in totally different ways. One of them could seriously change how you view inspections and penalties this season, while the other is building tension that might shake things up in the coming weeks. And if you've followed NASCAR long enough, you already know when things start piling up like this, it usually means something bigger is about to unfold. Before we dive in, quick shout out. If you're someone who watches every race and keeps up with all the storylines, make sure to hit like and subscribe. This channel is just getting started, aiming for 100 subscribers, and it's all about real fans talking real NASCAR. Now let's break down what really happened at Bristol Motor Speedway, because even though the result sheet looks pretty normal, there was a lot going on behind the scenes. First, let's talk about two names that grabbed attention immediately after the race, Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick. Both of their cars were taken to NASCAR's R&D Center in Concord for further inspection. If you've been around the sport for a while, you know that sometimes this is routine, but other times it raises eyebrows. It can mean NASCAR noticed something unusual, had suspicions, or simply wanted a closer look at teams performing at a high level. And considering how fast both drivers have been, fans naturally started asking questions. But here's the important part. After a full teardown and inspection, NASCAR didn't find anything illegal. Both cars were completely cleared. No penalties, no violations. Everything checks out heading into Kansas, so technically everything is clean. But that's only part of the story. Because even before the race began, things were already getting messy. Pre-race inspection has been a recurring issue this season, and Bristol was no exception. 5 teams were hit with penalties. Kyle Larson, Michael McDowell, Ross Chastain, Cole Custer, and Chad Fincham. Most of them lost their car chiefs and pit selection, which is a massive setback at a track like Bristol where track position is everything. McDowell was the only different case, losing his engineer instead. So even before the green flag waved, several teams were already on the back foot. And once the race got going, the problems didn't stop. Pit road penalties started piling up. Drivers like Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, John Hunter Nemechek, Tyler Reddick, and Brad Keselowski were all caught speeding. On top of that, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was flagged for a safety violation. So yeah, what looked like a normal race weekend at first might actually be hinting at something much bigger brewing behind the scenes. Michael McDowell was hit with a penalty on lap 255 for having too many crew members over the wall. Earlier in the race, on lap 131, Zane Smith was also penalized for equipment interference. So when you really break everything down, this race was anything but clean. And over in the Truck Series, there was another moment that quickly got fans talking. Christian Eckes and Corey Heim found themselves in a familiar situation late in the race. If you remember their clash during the 2024 Truck Series championship battle, you already know there's some history between them. This time, Eckes made contact with Heim heading into Turn 1, sending him hard into the wall. Right away, fans started questioning whether it was intentional or just aggressive racing. NASCAR did speak with Eckes after the incident, but in the end, no penalty was issued. So officially, Bristol didn't hand out any major post-race punishments. But when you step back and look at the full picture, inspections, penalties, and on-track incidents, it definitely felt like NASCAR had a close eye on a lot of teams throughout the weekend, and that leads straight into the second major storyline. Because one particular penalty ended up changing the entire race for Tyler Reddick. After the race, Reddick didn't hold anything back. He made it clear that the speeding penalty on pit road completely derailed their day. And if you understand how Bristol works, that makes perfect sense. He explained that at a track like this, even a small mistake can put you in a position that's nearly impossible to recover from. Before the penalty, he had one of the fastest cars on the track and was running near the front. But once he served the penalty, everything changed. He dropped deep into the field, lost valuable track position, and got stuck in heavy traffic. And at Bristol, that's basically a nightmare scenario. Once you're buried in the pack, it's incredibly tough to regain momentum. The rhythm disappears and your chances of competing for the win fade away quickly. But Reddick didn't stop at just the penalty. He also opened up about NASCAR's approach toward his team. With 4 wins in the last 7 races, he suggested that 23XI Racing might be getting more attention than others. According to him, their car keeps getting selected for deeper inspections week after week. He made it clear that he respects NASCAR's role in enforcing the rules, but at the same time, it's starting to feel a bit over the top. He even hinted that when a team starts winning consistently, the dynamic can shift, and sometimes it feels like NASCAR is trying to level the playing field. That's a bold claim. After Bristol, his car was once again taken to the R&D center, and just like before, no issues were found. Everything checked out as legal. But from a driver's perspective, the frustration is understandable. When you're building momentum, winning races, and then dealing with penalties along with repeated inspections, it can start to wear on you. And now, all of this adds a completely new layer to the situation moving forward. Right now, he's turning into one of the biggest talking points in NASCAR, not just because of what he's doing on the track, but because of everything happening around him, too. Now, there are some real questions in play. Is this all just standard procedure, or are certain teams getting a little more attention than others? Either way, heading into the next race, all eyes are going to be locked on that team. Bristol might not have delivered any huge penalties after the checkered flag, but it definitely set the stage for something bigger going forward, and that's exactly what makes this sport so addictive to follow. From my perspective as a fan, it's a mix of both. NASCAR is absolutely doing what it's supposed to do, enforcing the rules and keeping things fair, but at the same time, it's hard to ignore the pattern that's starting to form. When a driver like Tyler Reddick gets on a hot streak, winning 4 out of the last 7 races, extra attention is almost guaranteed. That's nothing new. Every dominant team in NASCAR history has gone through that phase where officials start taking a closer look. But here's where things get interesting. Even with all that scrutiny, repeated inspections, deeper checks, even multiple trips to the R&D center, everything keeps coming back clean, every single time. So from a rule standpoint, 23XI Racing is clearly doing things the right way. Now when it comes to penalties, especially that pit road speeding call at Bristol, it's pretty straightforward. NASCAR didn't get that wrong. Pit road speed limits are strict. You either exceed them or you don't. And at a track like Bristol, that kind of mistake can completely destroy your race. Still, it's easy to understand where Reddick's frustration is coming from. When you combine a race-altering penalty with constant inspections, it can start to feel like everything is piling up against you, even if technically everything is fair and by the book. And that's what makes this whole situation so compelling. Because both sides can be right at the same time. NASCAR can be enforcing the rules exactly as they should, and the driver can still feel the pressure building more and more each week. Looking back at the first storyline, all the penalties and inspection issues at Bristol Motor Speedway, it feels like part of a bigger trend. NASCAR seems to be running things tighter this season. Pre-race inspection failures, pit road violations, constant monitoring. The margin for error feels smaller than ever. So overall, here's the honest takeaway. There's nothing illegal happening here. All. And if Reddick keeps performing at this level, that tension is only going to grow as we get closer to the playoffs. That's when things could really heat up. Because honestly, after everything we just saw, it feels like this is only the beginning of something bigger. Bristol gave us a race that looked normal on the outside, but underneath it all, there were inspections, multiple penalties, and drivers clearly feeling the pressure. At the same time, one of the hottest drivers in the sport is starting to question how things are being handled, even after being cleared again and again. So now, the real question isn't just about what happened, it's about what happens next. Because if this tension keeps building, if the inspections continue, and if drivers keep speaking out, we could be heading into a seriously intense stretch of the season.